Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
And wow, this time you've given us a really interesting stack of source material.
Yeah, this one's pretty unique.
It is. We've got a whole list of popular quotes. According to Goodreads, no less.
Oh, wow.
So the question is,
Interesting.
what can these little nuggets of wisdom tell us about human nature itself?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. I mean, some of these I recognize immediately. Some are totally new to me, but they all seem to hit on something kind of universal.
Definitely. I think so.
Don't they?
Yeah, it's like each quote is like a little window, into how people throughout history have kind of wrestled with the big questions.
Yeah.
Love loss, meaning like the whole human experience.
Right. Okay, so let's just jump right in.
Yeah, let's do it.
There are a few that I'm immediately drawn to. This one by Lloyd Alexander. Fantasy is a necessary ingredient in living. It's a way of looking at life through the wrong end of a telescope.
I love that. Oh, that's good.
It makes me think about how we use stories, imagination, even just daydreams, to understand our own reality.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a great point. It suggests that we don't just passively experience the world. We actively try to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Even through those fictional lenses. And, when you think about it, that drive to understand, to kind of create narratives is deeply human.
Totally. And speaking of understanding ourselves, this quote by F. Scott Fitzgerald just really hit me.
Ooh.
And as I sat there brooding on the old unknown world, I thought of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out the green light at the end of Daisy's dock.
Oh, yeah.
It's about Gatsby, sure. But it also captures this feeling of longing.
Yeah.
Searching for something just out of reach, which I think we all relate to on some level.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about the allure of the unattainable, right? The way we project our desires onto other people and things.
Yeah.
And often that pursuit itself is more compelling than actually getting the thing.
Right.
Fitzgerald really captured that kind of bittersweet human experience.
Definitely. And then there's this John Green quote. I love John Green. It is so hard to leave until you leave. And then it is the easiest goddamn thing in the world. I think anyone who's ever hesitated to make a change, big or small, can relate to that.
It's so true. It's about that inertia, isn't it? The way we hold ourselves back out of fear, even when deep down we know we need to move on. But Green also reminds us that once we take that leap, the fear often melts away. There's a real sense of liberation in that.
So true. Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Okay.
This push and pull between fear and aspiration. Sarah Williams puts it so beautifully. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night.
Oh, I like that.
There's this incredible acceptance of darkness, of the unknown, as part of the journey.
It speaks to resilience, wouldn't you say? The ability to find beauty and wonder even in the midst of uncertainty.
Yeah.
We see that same theme, I think, in Rumi's quote. The wound is the place where the light enters you. It suggests that pain, vulnerability, those are often the entry points for growth and transformation.
That's such a powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's this Charles Bukowski quote that kind of jumps out at me.
Okay.
If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. It's bold, maybe even a little reckless.
Yeah.
But there's something so compelling about his call to action.
He's advocating for radical commitment, isn't he? To pursuing what matters most without reservation. And he doesn't shy away from the potential downsides, does he? You'll lose girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.
Wow.
But then he adds, it's better to have tried and failed than to live life wondering what would happen if I had succeeded.
So he's acknowledging the risks, the potential sacrifices.
Yeah.
But he's also saying that the rewards, what he calls this perfect laughter, might be worth it.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty intense perspective.
It is. It raises some interesting questions, like what does it really mean to go all the way? Is it about achieving external success, or is it more about an internal state of being?
Yeah.
Just a willingness to fully embrace the experience, whatever the outcome.
That's a great question. And it makes me think about how differently we all define success and fulfillment. But there's also something to be said for the simple joys in life. The quiet moments of connection. Like in E.B. White's Charlotte's Web, you have been my friend.
Yeah.
That in itself is a tremendous thing.
Yeah, it really is. And sometimes we get so caught up in, these big, bold ambitions that we forget the simple beauty of human connection.
You're so right. It's interesting, though, isn't it, how all of these quotes seem to capture this whole spectrum of human experience. The yearning for meaning, the fear of the unknown, the comfort of friendship, this drive to achieve something extraordinary.
Totally. It's like we're looking at a mosaic,
yeah.
And each quote is a tiny little tile. And as we start to piece them together, we start to see this bigger picture of what it means to be human.
I love that analogy. And it makes me think about the act of sharing quotes and connecting with them.
Yeah.
I mean, that says something about us, too.
What do you mean?
Well, why do we collect quotes? Why do we write them down, share them on social media, get them tattooed on our bodies? It's like we're trying to capture these little flashes of insight, these moments of recognition that just make us feel less alone in the world.
That's fascinating. It speaks to our need for connection, doesn't it? And not just with other people, but with ideas, with something larger than ourselves.
Totally.
We find solace in knowing that other people have wrestled with the same questions, felt the same emotions.
Yeah.
Centuries ago or maybe just yesterday.
Exactly. And it's not just about finding comfort or validation either. Quotes can inspire us to think differently, to challenge our assumptions, to take action. Like this one from Frederick Douglass. Once you learn to read, you will be forever free.
Powerful. That's powerful. It really highlights that transformative power of knowledge, doesn't it? Yeah.
The way it can liberate us from those mental and even physical constraints. And it connects back to that earlier idea of like understanding reality, seeking truth, even through the wrong end of a telescope.
Right. Exactly. And then you have quotes like this one from Oscar Wilde. I love Oscar Wilde. You don't love someone for their looks or their clothes or for their fancy car, but because they sing a song only you can hear. It's so romantic.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to this deeper level of connection.
Yeah.
A recognition of something unique and special in another person.
Totally. It's about seeing beyond the superficial, right? About finding that soul-level resonance.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that connection isn't just about shared experiences or common interests. It's also about recognizing and appreciating those things that make each of us unique.
But then you have quotes like this one from Milan Kundera, 2 people in love alone, isolated from the world, that's beautiful. I mean, it's romantic for sure, but it also suggests a kind of withdrawal from the larger community. That's true. Yeah, it raises an interesting question about the balance between solitude and social engagement, Do we need both to thrive? And how do we navigate that tension in a world that's increasingly connected?
Right.
Yet it often feels so isolating.
It's a really good question. And speaking of isolation, this Nietzsche quote keeps coming back to me. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process, he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you.
Oh, that's dark.
It's a little dark, but there's a really profound warning in there, I think, about losing ourselves in the pursuit of a goal or an ideal.
Yeah, it's a cautionary tale about the seductive nature of power, isn't it? The importance of self-awareness. And it reminds us that even in fighting for what we believe is right, we have to be careful not to become the very thing we're trying to overcome.
So we've got all these big themes that are emerging, connection meaning fear, aspiration, the tension between individuality and belonging. But what does it all mean? What do all of these popular quotes ultimately reveal about human nature?
I think it shows that we are complex creatures.
Yeah.
Full of contradictions and complexities. We crave connection, but we also value our independence.
Right.
We see the meaning and purpose, but we also wrestle with doubt and uncertainty. We are capable of great love and compassion, but also selfishness and cruelty.
And maybe that's why quotes resonate with us so deeply, because they capture these contradictions.
Yeah.
They give voice to this whole spectrum of human experience, and they remind us that we're not alone in feeling these things.
Exactly. They offer us a way to process our own emotions, to find solace in those shared experiences, and to just glimpse the vastness and mystery of what it means to be human.
As we've been talking about all these different quotes and the themes they touch on, it's really making me think about what makes a quote popular in the first place.
No, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it about certain phrases that really capture our collective imagination and just get passed down through generations?
Right. Is it simply that they articulate something universal about the human experience, or is there something more to it?
Well, I think part of it is definitely that resonance, that ability to tap into those emotions and experiences we all share. But I also think there's an element of craft involved, The way a quote is phrased, the rhythm of the words, the imagery it evokes.
Yeah.
All of those things contribute to its power and memorability.
So it's like a combination of content and form, almost like a good song.
Yeah.
The catchy melody with lyrics that speak to your soul.
Exactly. And when those two elements come together just right, you get a quote that sticks with you, that you want to share with others, that maybe even changes the way you see the world.
Which brings us back to the original question you posed. Qu'est-ce que les citations plus populaires montrant de la nature humaine? What do these popular quotes reveal about human nature?
Well, having explored all these different perspectives and themes, I think the answer is multifaceted. It's not just about the individual messages conveyed in each quote, but also about our collective need to connect with those messages, to find meaning and solace in the words of others.
So it's not just about what the quotes say, but about our very human desire to share them, to find ourselves reflected in them, to use them as a way to connect with each other and make sense of the world.
Precisely. And perhaps that's the most profound revelation of all, that despite our differences, our unique backgrounds and perspectives, we are all fundamentally connected by our shared humanity. We seek meaning, we crave connection, we search for truth and beauty, and we find solace in knowing that others have walked this path before us.
And in a way, these popular quotes serve as guideposts along that path, offering us wisdom, inspiration, and a sense of shared experience.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd like to leave you with a final thought. Pay attention to the quotes that resonate most deeply with you, the ones you find yourself returning to again and again. What might those preferences reveal about your own unique journey and the questions you're grappling with?
That's a wonderful challenge. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of popular quotes and the insights they offer into the complexities of human nature. Until next time, keep seeking those sparks of connection and keep diving deeper into the mysteries of the human experience.